Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Sprint Car Nights. Happy December, everyone. The snow is falling. Sprint cars are not on track. It's a sad time, but we're still having fun conversations. I'm Blake Walker. He's Josh Gerlach. We have Spencer Bayston, the new driver of the Stenhouse Jr Marshall Racing, number 17 for NOS and NOS Energy Drink on the car. He joined the show today. Again, this is a pre-recorded episode, if you will. We recorded this here on Monday morning. You're seeing this on Monday evening. No Cade Higday, unfortunately. Cade is working. So sadly, the man who wore the Spencer Bayston hat like all year long could not make the Spencer Bayston show. But it was a great conversation. We'll talk about it a little bit once we have the conversation, and we'll throw that in there. Don't forget to share this episode and hit the like button wherever you're watching, and then always hit subscribe wherever you're watching. We also appreciate 5 stars on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you can listen. And don't forget to subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all our other platforms. Follow at TEAM NETCODE on all social media platforms. We are on all of them. Josh has been churning out the clips, which are great. I unfortunately did not repost all of them, but the ones that I'm in, I repost. But it's your own simple brand. Josh, it's not a lot of sprint car action. We do have some news to start before we get into our interview with Spencer Bayston. The big news that I'm pretty sure it dropped like right after our episode came out last Monday. PA Posse news is getting very apparent, and PA Posse is getting treated in 2026. There will be a PA Posse 410 Sprint Car Series debuted in 2026. With a full schedule, 47 races across 11 tracks, mostly in central Pennsylvania. Before we go into the details, Josh, when this came up, I was kind of surprised this was not a thing. You're kind of surprised that this wasn't a thing because PA has so many good weekly shows. You know, we think of all these really good weekly shows. We think about Lincoln and all these other teams or all these other tracks. But just the initial thought process when this came out, it was like, man, this is a pretty good idea. I mean, this is a very competitive, and for those guys, if they wanted to compete in a series that wasn't High Limit or Outlaws, they had to go to Ohio for the All-Stars.
Right. And I think that a big piece of it, for number one, this has kind of been an unofficial thing, if you will. Like, there's a lot of teams, as we already know, that kind of jump around and hit the certain kind of, I don't even know what shape it would be, but jumping from track to track, hitting their weekly events, but it didn't have its own point system, payouts, and stuff like that, which this is obviously going to get. We'll touch on here in a second. But I think a big part of it that they made sure to call out is it is not going to affect weekly racing at any of the tracks that are going to be hosting a PA Posse 410 Sprint Car Series event. I think that is huge because that has been a concern that we've heard about. People when talking about High Limit or the old and then now the new All-Stars, how all the shuffling from the national series fell down to the local scene or regional scene, speed weeks with different series. And this is something that I think, especially for central Pennsylvania, we're in Iowa, so we're kind of disconnected from that. We kind of hear from the outside. That is something that I think is going to be very big. I think it'll be very welcome for a lot of those teams, drivers, and tracks, fans also. There is a negative, which we'll get to, in my opinion, which is the streaming aspect of it. But I think as a whole, this is very good for sprint car racing.
Do you think, some of these teams, they're smaller teams. Do you think this news was released in November, late November. We still have a little bit of time before the season starts, obviously. But are some of these teams, do you think, going to be ready to, not just race on a weekly basis? Right. And for some teams, that's, these guys aren't full time. You spend your week. You think they're ready to then throw in and be like, well, we'll talk about the money here in a second, but yeah, we should try to race this series. But if you wreck a car on midweek, it's like, well, can you even race on a weekly basis?
I mean, that's a good point, and I think that that's something that is definitely going to be on the minds of some of these teams. Yep. I bet, you have teams like Macri or the Danny Dietrichs, Brock Zierfoss. All those guys, I'm sure, won't have an issue being able to run that. But you are going to have more local teams that, like you said, are going to have to be more aware of these are 47 more races, that
Yeah.
it's 47 more nights of wear on an engine or potential, junk in a race car or something like that. So I think you do have to be aware of that. It probably does go into the consideration for some of those guys. We'll see how it works out. What do you think?
I hope it didn't do much to PA Speed Week. I've enjoyed PA Speed Week. Again, we'll talk about the streaming here in a second. That's the thing that has also plagued PA Speed Week in my mind. Just going into it, every event that they will race guarantees a minimum payout of $6,000 to win and $600 to start. To put that into perspective, that's what 410 winners got at Knoxville the last couple of years. If you won a 410 race at Knoxville, you got $6,000. So that's pretty good. Some shows will pay significantly more. You expect that. I mean, they're going to have their big marquee races. Season end payouts go to the top 15 teams in the standings with $50,000 to the champion. Drivers get 3 quote-unquote throwaway or drop races, meaning they can drop their worst 3 results / missed events. This gives flexibility and a buffer against bad nights or missed shows. Yeah, I do too. You talked about it with High Limit in the Outlaws. Like, Anthony Macri and Danny Dietrich will probably run some of these races in the series. Will they go for points? I don't really know. But when those bigger series might be around the region or, kind of in the vicinity and they're wanting to get laps in, they're going to want to go. So it's like, well, we can't just give it up.
Yeah, exactly. And honestly, it's kind of, you see that in iRacing. It's kind of an iRacing thing come to life a little bit.
Same, like, legit. I'm not joking. When I was reading it, I'm like, man, this is kind of like iRacing, because you're like, everybody's busy, but it's like, yeah, you can drop a race.
Yeah, or injured. That's a thing where I think that, not to take this off into a tangent too much, but I do think that there are times where guys are racing when they shouldn't, and I think that can help alleviate some of the pressure to jump in a car too soon if they've been banged up with, name your injury. Sprint car racing is a dangerous sport and people do get hurt. So I think, if they are prioritizing a different event, maybe it's a bigger paying event or something like that. If they're injured, I actually do think this is kind of something that went under the radar a little bit, where you can drop your 3 worst races and it doesn't hurt you.
Yeah.
I think that's in real life racing. It's a little bit of a novel concept, which I wouldn't be surprised if we maybe see that a little bit more, because in a way that does kind of work like those medical waivers that we saw with High Limit, in a little bit different way.
Yeah. It will be interesting if the points come down to it late in the season. Like, for example, you can drop races at English Creek, and unfortunately, because of that, unfortunately, they didn't really know the champion until a couple days later, because they have to formulate everything, calculate everything, and maybe it'll come down to it. We don't really know. If I had to go off the top of my head here, I think guys to really watch for this, I think Chase Dietz will be a big one to watch. Again, if they race, we don't know who's racing and what. Lance DeWeese, new ride. I think this could be really fun.
Logan Wagner.
Yeah.
Ryan Smith.
And that's the thing with Ryan. It's like 69K. Would this maybe be something that the 69K would want to run a full operation? I don't know. It'll be really
That'd be a
interesting.
team to watch for sure.
Oh, yeah.
If they're able to run everything, and you have guys like Macri and Dietrich that maybe don't hit all of them or don't hit enough of them to be in the points. 69K was good. Yeah. Really good this year. So.
Ryan was good. Ryan's one of the quick up-and-comers. The new series, like we had talked about, explicitly designed not to race or replace existing weekly races at tracks like Williams Grove, Port Royal, and Lincoln. Really, if you're a PA fan, it's just more racing. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think you're pretty happy. It's a unified schedule that unites Central PA promoters, tracks, teams, fans. It's going to be a fun year. I pray the weather's better for them, because I swear Pennsylvania had the worst weather I have ever seen last year. That's one thing that's going to be tough, but weather's weather wherever we go. But the streaming portion, it's not on a streaming service, to our understanding. I think it's just going to be a per track basis, kind of like.
No, it's its own. They're doing their own streaming service. So I'll let you go first. What is your thoughts on yet another new streaming service coming exclusively that's going to host these races?
I think it's one of those things that, I mean, you go on YouTube TV. Or there was a stat a couple months ago before the NFL season started. If you wanted to watch every single NFL game this season, you had to pay $257 total to watch. If you wanted to watch every single NFL game this season, if you wanted to watch every single sprint car race this season, Josh, would you get, I mean, price is probably over $600, $500.
Yeah, it has to be.
If I had to guess.
Thinking about it. Yeah.
That's the thing. It's like, you want it to be affordable, but you want to be able to watch. Flow Racing is very, very popular, and it's getting bigger. But they only accept, I think, certain events, and you have to go to them and be like, hey, you know, we want to do this thing. Dirt Vision obviously has their World Racing Group tracks. That's just a given. But I am not the biggest fan because will I probably pay for the subscription? Maybe. I mean, I don't know. I'll just have to see. I mean, it depends on the field size, everything else. There are definitely times where during PA Speed Week, like I've talked about, I wanted to watch PA Speed Week all the way through. But then it gets on a streaming service, and I'm like, I don't want to pay for it because it stacks up. And what, you watch 2 races a year on that subscription, and then you're like, what's the point? I do wish there was an overarching thing, you know, like maybe we need a speed sprint car channel or something like that. I'm not a big fan of it. I'm not, but you're going to make money. Maybe this gets off the ground. Maybe the streaming service becomes a very popular thing, but I just feel like viewership is going to be rocky to start at least. And they're going to have to put on good shows for people to justify paying whatever amount it is to watch.
Right. I think I'm mostly with you there, and I don't want to go down a rabbit hole too much here, but I think that it's very complex and it's complicated. And when you are looking at these racetracks and the series, it's probably very difficult because you have to weigh the production does not cost, or, you know, the production is not $0 to run, you know, at each of these 47 races. They do need butts in the seats. They have to be able to pay out the new payouts and everything like that. So that would make sense to me, you know, to spin up a streaming service that only does these, you know, that's a revenue model for them to bring money into that series. But to your point, you know, when you look at even just like the economy right now, like it's tough out there for a lot of people. And, you know, if you're already paying for Dirt Vision and Flow, like you are probably pushing, you know, if you do the annual or whatever,
almost $500 just for those 2. So actually that number, like Sprint Car Unlimited TV, Speed Sport, all these, I mean, it's almost probably
start to finish if you want to watch PowerEye stuff.
It's
like
probably
it adds up
$800.
It adds up very quickly, and it's just not affordable for some people. And if you take a little bit different look at it, that's cheaper than if you were to try to go to some of, you know, hit up a lot of those races if you're in Pennsylvania. So, you know, there's a lot of smart people that work on these things that I'm sure have not, you know, they have thought about this.
Yeah.
But that is a difficult thing because on the flip side, and one thing that I'm also not advocating for is a monopoly on, you know, one streaming service to rule them all, because then that ends up having an opposite effect where then they make the market and, you know, teams and tracks and series, they have to pay what the monopoly owner says, or else you don't get on there. So it's a delicate situation, but I do think that it's something that for the sport to continue to grow, it does have to be approachable and affordable for people to watch, not only at home, but in person as well. And I'll be curious to see how this performs in 2026, just the series in general. And, you know, how, if at all, that streaming model ends up changing in the future.
Yeah. I'm very curious, like, will they do a per race deal? Like, pay-per-view almost. That's one of the things, like with the Outlaws when they come here for the Knoxville Nationals, if people have probably noticed, a single night, if you don't get the package deal to watch all the races on Dirt Vision for the Nationals, a single night is like $50. And people are like,
price
why
of a
is
ticket.
it 50? Oh, that's exactly what I was going to say. I'm like, you're watching the race. I mean, you're paying the price of a ticket. So I don't know. It's just kind of one of those things that kind of works out in Dirt Vision's favor, but I'm excited. I think it's awesome. Yeah. I think if you're a PA fan, my goodness, you're spoiled. I mean, that's awesome. That's why I think I said in my tweet when I tweeted about it, it's an absolute win for Pennsylvania fans to be able to get more racing. It's some of the best racing in the country. There's some of the best fans in the country. So I'm excited. We look forward to it.
Good for teams and drivers too. Spencer talks about that a little bit later in our discussion with him. He makes a very good point. And
we'll definitely be talking about it, this series, on a weekly basis here as the season progresses in 2026. So we had Turkey Night at Ventura in California. It was cold. We could see people's breath. It was a wild, wild night. It was foggy. We had USAC action. We had midgets. Dason Pursley took the victory in the USAC portion. That kid's pretty good. I tell you what. Man, when we do our preview for the 2026 season, we'll do one. I think we should do one for High Limit Outlaws, and then obviously for Knoxville. I think it's safe to say that Dason Pursley, now being in the equipment that he's going to be in, plus what he's shown not just at the midpoint of this season and on, but whatnot, Dason Pursley can maybe win 8+ races next year in the 49. And I know that's probably a way bold take. But man, he is just so good. And there's not many guys that are good in so many things. And the guys that are good in so many things, like Corey Day, Kyle Larson, and now Dason Pursley, if he can get the 410 wing sprint car wins up on his belt, boy, start putting Dason Pursley in those conversations. I put in our text chat right after, I got my Chili Bowl pick already picked out. Dason Pursley, in my opinion, is going to win the Chili Bowl.
It's exciting to think about what that potential feature could look like on Saturday.
Yes. Yeah. He is one of the top guys right now in dirt racing.
And we were talking off air, and we have talked on air about this too, but just confidence, man. When a guy is confident in everything that he's doing, it is apparent on the racetrack. And since the beginning, or since the middle of summer, I'd say, Dason Pursley has just been super confident and has been kicking ass in pretty much everything he gets in. And bold take, I know we'll probably do some predictions when we do our previews next year. I'm going to hold you to that. 8 wins in 2026, huh? With High Limit.
I think with KKR is not just going to sit down and be bad.
No.
It's not going to happen. That car will be just as good, if not better, than what the 49 was this year. So the world needs to see the 9 car winning races. I think people want to see Casey Kane, and Casey Kane has that strong urge to win races. They have their guy. And if you were curious why they picked Dason Pursley, look at what Dason Pursley has done in 2025 and previous years. He's just getting better and better. He is phenomenal in everything. That leads into the midget portion. He was running top 5. He had a tire go down or something went wrong. It kind of ended his night. Corey Day was battling with Logan Seavey. Kyle Larson started 14th, got all the way up to 3rd. But the track just kind of went away in the end. I don't know if it rubbered down. I didn't have volume on. I was watching college football on TV, and then I was watching the race all night. It was a longer night. Somebody got into the fence and ripped the fence apart, so they had to do fence repair. Corey Day ended up picking up the win. It's his 2nd straight Turkey night victory. Awesome event. Cool that Kyle Larson was there. Kind of helps promote the event even more. Flo did a phenomenal job on the broadcast. They had like a autograph line before the race. Drake York was doing a great job going up and down, kind of the word on the street, talking to all the fans and whatnot. Awesome event. And California is fun, Josh, because we can race into November, and it's like, yeah, it was cold, but it's still fun racing.
Yeah. Well, maybe, they might end up doing what Spencer talks about later over the winter time. We'll see if they can make
I will say,
happen.
Based off the midget racing that I saw and the drivers that were showing up, we're in for a good Chili Bowl this year. I truly do believe that. I mean, the talent is at an all-time high.
Got Kyle Larson back. He's entered.
Got Kyle Larson back, which is huge. Obviously had him last year. He's the defending champion coming in, but it's going to be interesting, man. It's going to be really interesting. I think Tulsa Shootout's going to be really fun this year. These kids are getting better and better. You're going to get a lot of big names.
Those are the future stars. Shit, they might be winning the Knoxville Nationals in 3 years. Who knows?
Seriously, that's the position that we're in right now. Another sprint car thing that I wanted to touch on down in you got to confirm for me. Is it Adelaide, Australia?
Adelaide. Yeah.
Adelaide, Australia. I just wanted to make sure that I didn't want to get the city wrong or anything else. Adelaide, Australia.
We'll have Wade correct you.
Get Wade in. Napa Speedway Sprint Cars in the City was this past week at Adelaide, Australia. If you wanted to stay up in the wee hours of the morning and watch, I just wanted to give just a quick thing on this because Wade did a live stream and I was just perplexed. I mean, maybe I'm just dumb and I had never heard of this or I just wasn't, big into it. This is a sprint car race. It was supposed to be 3 days. It was only 2 days because the third day got rained out. The city of Adelaide is what, how many people did you say?
I saw like 1.4 million.
1.4 million people. That's a big city. There are skyscrapers in this city. In the middle of this city, there is a park. And inside the park, there's a road course where like these sport cars race. And inside the road course is a dirt track, and it's a 1/4 mile. And then inside the dirt track is a polo grounds. It's like a little tiny polo grounds. But this dirt track, like, they put on a phenomenal race. Napa Speedway, sprint cars in the city. These cars are literally lined up in the trees. Like, they put them underneath trees and green open. That's their pit area. They just roll them across the road course into the actual dirt track. It was so awesome to see. Thomas Meserol was there. Wade was talking to him. Kerry Madsen was there. James McFadden won night number 1, and then Jamie Veal won night number 2. Jamie Veal is legit, man. He is a very, very talented race car driver. Jock Goodyear had a couple of really good runs as well. The track was a little rough in night 1, just couldn't really pass, but it's just this little like oval shape.
It's like a little circle down there.
Guys are in the grass. If you want to go watch, it's on Clay Per View, their YouTube channel. I highly recommend it. But man, sprint car racing in Australia, I mean, it's the same thing. There really is no difference. But man, it just feels different. I'm going to say something controversial. The cars look better in Australia. The paint schemes in Australia are unbelievable. I don't know what it is, but they nail it. And we will have Wade on before the Classic and everything else here into January. But I want to get down to Australia. Watching that, I'm like, man, I need to get down to Australia. It's just so fun to watch. And I don't know how many Australian viewers we have. If you're an Australian viewer, you should comment. Tell us where you're from in Australia, because I think that'd be pretty cool. But man, such fun racing. So
definitely comment from where you're watching, even if you're in the United States. That's interesting to see. I also want to get down to Australia because you see so many Australians that come over here and go to the big events, see them at Knoxville as well. And that is a very unique type of event to try to put on.
It's an insane concept when you think about it. And Wade was talking about, like, they're not worried it'll go away, but they want people to keep supporting it because it could go away. You know, it's in a park.
Yeah, I mean, because they had I cannot remember. I'll have to pull it up to fact check myself here. But they had an issue years ago. It was in Sydney. Yep, Parramatta at Valvoline Speedway. Mm-hmm. They had an issue where ended up the city took over the track, shut it down, demolished it, and they tried to build up a new one and had all kinds of issues and dumped like a ton of money into it. So it's easy to take these things for granted, especially over in America. But if you're watching from Australia, like, go and support those events. And, same thing we say over here, going to the racetrack if you have the ability to. Like, that's a very unique style of event. We don't do stuff like that over here in America. And like for the sport of sprint car racing, it's cool to see events like that even take place because it does show that people recognize that there is an interest for that. And it's really cool. I don't even know where you would begin to try something like that over here either. Where do you think you could do that? Because like NASCAR goes to
They're going
Chicago,
to San Diego. They went to the Chicago street cars.
IndyCar's done Nashville. It's an interesting thing, but I don't know where sprint cars would fit.
I mean, we don't do sprint cars, but the midgets inside Indianapolis Motor Speedway is pretty cool. I mean, that's a really neat concept. We haven't really seen anyone try anything crazy, I don't think. I mean, I don't know. They do motocross in the infield at Daytona right on the front stretch. They put all that dirt down. Realistically, you could put dirt down at Daytona.
Let's do it. Yeah, go from Volusia, go down to Daytona 500, run a quick little World of Outlaws feature in the infield at Daytona.
I can tell you right now, there's not enough room in Central Park in New York City to put a dirt track. I don't think that's possible. But
think big, Blake. Come on.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. There's so much. It's just somebody's got to have the money to go and do it. It's one of those things that if you got the money and you want to try it and it's a far out there concept, I think it really works. But
it's a risk because you do have to take the leap and hope that people pay attention to it.
Yeah.
So
I do want to see sprint cars at Indy. I mean, I think it's just such a small track. It'd be such a bull ring. But I've seen
chaos. I mean,
there's been a couple of races. I don't know. I cannot remember the series off the top of my head, but there have been some series that I'm like, whoa, those cars should not be on that racetrack.
I think Wing 410s at the BC 39 track, that'd be a little crazy. That's like Houston's hosting late models. It's like those don't feel like they should fit out there, and they actually do and race really well. So I don't know.
Speaking of late models, our final news piece of the day. Josh just knew exactly how to transition into it. The Outlaws are coming to Iowa, and it's not Knoxville. They are going to Southern Iowa Speedway to Oskaloosa on August 26th for a World of Outlaws late model show. Off the top of our heads, we think it's the first ever Outlaw late model race at Oskaloosa. We're not really sure. Don't quote us on it, but it's definitely been a while, at least in my lifetime. I don't remember one. And that's dating back 2000. So I don't really know. It's an awesome event. I'm excited. Boy, they're going to fill that infield. I mean, that's the whole thing. Go for a party and a race breaks out. That's the whole, kind of talk behind the front row challenge. It does stink. It is on championship night of our Knoxville season, which kind of stinks, but that's just, I don't know. That's kind of how it is. Any thoughts on this, Josh? It's cool. I mean, the track doesn't have any banking, so it's basically kind of like a Knoxville, but the crowd is cool. Ruben's going to have to sit outside. They do not have a booth unless they put him in the infield. It's awesome. I hope they get a good show. And I hope guys, I mean, it's a couple weeks later, but I hope guys stick around for maybe come back to the Nationals.
Yeah, I mean, it's a couple weeks after Nationals, so there is that. It is awesome. Anytime that, a national touring series, be it sprint cars or late models, comes to Iowa, that's good. Being able to race in front of these fans and, Iowa race fans being able to see those national touring series drivers is really good. I think there's something there, especially with it being the Outlaws, there's something there where maybe we do some type of event, with both the late models and the sprint cars. I'm not saying necessarily it's at Oski, but we've seen that before, I believe, with the Lucas Oil Night in America and High Limit doing kind of a joint venture. I think that that's something that has probably been thought of. There's a lot of smart people at World Racing Group to think of stuff like that, because of all the dirt vision tracks that you have in the Midwest too. Like if you pair up the late models and sprint cars for a night, they could make a little Midwest sprint or something like that. Right. So cool that they're coming through Iowa. It does suck that it's after the Nationals, but
I tell you what, Iowa dirt fans of dirt racing are set for 2026. I mean, Harlan's getting 2 shows. I think I'm going to go out to that. I mean, or at least one of them. Harlan looks like it's going to be a blast. Davenport, isn't High Limit going to Davenport? So, I mean, there's racing all across the state. Obviously, you have Nationals, Knoxville, World of Outlaws are being held here a couple more times. So, I don't know. I think it's just awesome. If you're in Iowa, this is a big one. Obviously, not going back to Burlington kind of stinks for High Limit, but I assume late models will still go back to Burlington because Lucas Oil went to Burlington. So it's awesome. Good time to be a dirt fan here in the state of Iowa. So
it is unfortunate though, because keep me honest, was it the Malvern Bank series that is I don't know if completely shutting down, but they're not going to be back for 2026. So that's a bummer. That was a big series. I think that came out. It was either right before or right after we recorded last week.
Yeah.
Sucks for that group because I know that they were involved in the 360 shootout at Knoxville. There's a decent contingent that would try to follow that schedule.
Yeah.
And, 360 racing, not only in the Midwest, but it's not the biggest right now. There's a big push to go 410 racing. So it's unfortunate to see that series shut down, and we'll see if something ends up, kind of getting kicked up to fill its place, or if those guys just kind of splinter off and do something different.
Yeah. All righty. Well, that is the portion of our news segments. We are now going to toss over to our interview with Spencer Bayston for a little bit of background on Spencer Bayston for those that don't know. He's the 2017 USAC National Midget Champion. He's the 2017 Belleville Midget Nationals Champion. He's the winners of the USAC Midget National Championship portion of the 36th Four Crown Nationals in 2017. He was also the first person to win Belleville and Four Crown in the same year since Casey Kane in 2000. Shout out Casey Kane. He was the 2020 Kramer Clash Champion at Lincoln Speedway. He's the 2022 World of Outlaws Rookie of the Year, and he is now the new driver of the number 17 Stenhouse Jr Marshall Racing NOS Energy Drink Machine. Let's go to our interview with Spencer Bayston. I just kind of want to talk about this season. I mean, this season was crazy. Obviously, you started the year with Jason Myers, and that just went away after the Knoxville Nationals, and we'll talk about that. Then you kind of jump rides a little bit here, and now you're in a spot that I feel like you're kind of set. You feel good about your situation. Let's talk about 2025. As you sit here on this day, first day of December, how would you categorize your 2025?
I mean, it started out really good and exciting, and just thought that opportunity with the 14 group and the Jason Myers Racing team was kind of it, and a place that I could land and be for a while, and it just for whatever reason didn't come together. So a disappointment the first half for sure, and then kind of polar opposite on the second half of just trying to get in some good cars and run some races, and those went so well it kind of resurrected us and brought us back to life a little bit, because I think we're on somewhat of a downward spiral there through the season, and my name as a whole I think wasn't recognized as a potential for next year and opportunities. And then what we were able to do at the end of the season in the Kozlowski W car, the 21, jumping in a few of those different rides definitely brought us back to life and presented the opportunity that we're in now.
Blake, we can go back and check the tape. We were banging the drum for Spencer, not just saying that because he's here. You can check the tape. We were definitely banging the drum for you. I do want to go back to the Nationals a little bit. It's kind of a weird situation. Everybody saw the merch situation and Facebook posts and stuff. How awkward of a kind of a situation was that? At the biggest event of the year, nothing was official until the event was over. But I mean, the writing was on the wall. Was that tough to deal with?
It wasn't bad. I mean, we knew for 2 to 3 weeks going into nationals that that's what was happening. So it was done very well, handled very professionally from, the team's end, on our end. It kind of gave us a 2 weeks notice rather than just dropping the ball Saturday night, getting stuck with a lot of merchandise, not being able to spend any time planning what's going to happen after nationals. So it was handled really, really well, thankfully. Obviously, that whole group, the 14 group, is just a group of great people, and they were very professional with it. So fortunate to, yes, be able to unload our merchandise, get our cost back out of those pieces, and then was able to plan after. So it was a little awkward at times, but everyone handled it so well. It wasn't too bad. It definitely, you hear horror stories of team breakups, and it's just a lot of times, more times than not, they don't seem to go well. This was one that we were all on the same page. I was okay with the decision that they made. They were obviously, that's what they were committed to doing, was splitting up. So hindsight 2020, it all worked out really, really well.
That's good.
Corey Day was technically your teammate, the same guy on the team. Guys both drove the 14. Was there a pressure to have that? Because Corey is one of the top sprint car drivers in the game right now. I mean, there's no question about it. But it felt like, again, you talked about your name being brought up. A lot of the times people would bring up, well, Corey Day's in this car and he's winning, and Spencer's having struggles in these cars. Did that pressure ever get to you? Did you feel any pressure of that sort? And being a teammate to Corey Day, it felt like you guys were never really in the same races together. I mean, he'd go off somewhere. You were kind of on a touring basis. Just kind of talk about that whole situation.
Yeah, I mean, pressure, you say pressure, right? Like, we're professional race car drivers. Like, we operate under pressure. Like, that's part of the job. You have to, every place you go to, there's pressure to perform. When you're in a car that has won national races consistently over the last couple of years, and your teammate is winning races actively in the same season that you're trying to compete in the same equipment, yes, it obviously presents pressure, but never to the point where I felt like my world was falling apart. I couldn't handle what was happening or what people were saying. Like, that never was the case. Obviously, I wanted to be able to perform the way I knew I was able to perform, and put up good numbers and results, and kind of relieve some of that pressure. But it never crippled us. It was more, motivation, obviously, than anything. But yeah, I can't sit here and say, oh no, there was no pressure. Obviously, when your teammate is outperforming you night in, night out, like it's not a good look. And we all were understanding of that situation.
How do you deal with something like that? Especially like when especially I'm trying to think back early in the year when you would have some good runs going. It seems like whatever could go wrong would kind of go wrong for you guys. How do you keep, spirits and confidence up when things are just feels like you said, kind of spiraling there, early, middle part of the season?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, you kind of use it as motivation. Like we went through a decent amount of changes, but it made it tough because like, okay, your teammate's competitive, so like we're not going to reshape the program for the guy that's not able to perform and affect the guy that is performing. Like
Right.
we work so closely together. We kind of coexisted when we're racing together. Like we park together. Crews kind of all work together, intermingled. So it wasn't a deal where we could just completely go off on our own and change cars and change motors and change this, change that. Like we had to stay somewhat in line with what Corey's team was doing, understandably. But it just like it pretty much, personally think it came to a pivotal point of, okay, we either completely separate and make this drastic reshaping change, or we just close it up and go back to what they've been doing. And that was ultimately the decision of they invested so much into going out, buying another rig, more motors, more cars, hiring, 3 more employees or more personnel. It was a massive financial commitment on their end, and they couldn't see the light at the end of the tunnel, understandably. So that's ultimately why we shut it down, and they kind of went back to what was working beforehand. So obviously thankful for the opportunity and the financial commitment and the time commitment that they spent on trying to get me there, but just ultimately didn't work out.
And business is business at the end of the day.
Yeah.
It's good to hear that, personal side of things sounds like it's still good, which best case scenario all around, it sounds like.
Right.
How quickly was the phone ringing, or did the phone have to ring, or did you have to call people when it came to the W and then the 21 rides? It obviously wasn't far out. The Nationals happened, and then once the California swing got going, you were there. Talk about how those rides came together.
Yeah, it was pretty quick. I think, like I said, we knew for a couple of weeks leading up to it, but wasn't out calling people prior to the public announcement. So kind of knew, okay, Saturday was coming, packed up Knoxville, started heading home when everyone else was heading west. And by the time we made it home, my phone had rang a couple times, had some messages and whatnot, and was really kind of took that drive home, a 6-hour drive home of like, okay, just thinking through like, how do I want to finish the season? Like, do I want to just go run as many races as possible? Do I want to hold out for the perfect opportunity but then be okay if it didn't come? Fortunately, Silva Hall called me. I think it was Sunday or Monday, so pretty quick, and that was evident pretty quick. I'm like, okay, I needed to make sure I go get in that car.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
like that's probably best case scenario in terms of equipment and personnel. So jumped on that opportunity really quick and tried to balance some of the other phone calls that I was having of just being able to pick and choose. Like I think back to my year in 2019, 2020 timeframe, and I had jumped in some cars that weren't probably the best opportunities, but I just wanted to race so bad, and that lowered my stock tremendously. And then I went and ran with Bernie. I was supposed to be in the Tarleton car in 2020. COVID happened. California obviously completely shuts down. I come back to the Midwest, run with Bernie a handful of times. We go to Knoxville with a Charlie Garrett engine from Tarleton's, and we ran top 5 every night but one night. We had a DNF, got together racing for like 3rd or 4th. And that week pretty much saved my entire season and got me the opportunity to then go run the 11 car with McGee's. The 5 car obviously ended up coming after that. So in my head, I was like, okay, I'll run 6 races, and rather than 30 more, as long as those 6 are really, really good. Yeah. And so that's where, I was able to kind of pick and choose, and ran the W car, was really good fast right out of the gate. And then Drew and Tommy approached me about running some more races since Donnie was going to run the W car for the Outlaw Swing. That went really well. And then kind of I just took that and went home with it and like let that just kind of be the last runs I had where we were really competitive. And that obviously we're able to sit on that short bit of success and was able to put together the 17 deal and here we are.
Talk about stock maybe being a little low years ago and, approaching downtime a little bit differently this time. You mentioned it, you got in that W and things were pretty damn good right out the gate. Ironically, you were battling Corey for the win with High Limit in that first race out. What did that first weekend and that stretch in the W car do after a tough start to the season?
It was just reassuring more than anything. Like I know the 14 car was fast, right? I wasn't able to make it work. The 57, the W, Silva, they're fast with Corey, but they haven't always had great success with other guys that have gotten in it. Like they've always been pretty competitive, but not Kyle fast. And obviously I don't think anyone can jump in that car and be Kyle fast, but I felt like we were pretty close with pace and quick time first night out, like immediately comfortable. Didn't really have any downtime of kind of having to make changes and find speed. Like we just unloaded fast every night, and it aligned with what I needed and my style and that reassurance I had. Like first night out, we go out on hot lap and felt immediately really, really good. And then we go out fairly late and post quick time. And I was like, okay, that makes me feel so much better because up to this point, like I know I can drive and I know I'm talented, but maybe I'm doing something with the 14 that's messing it up. And, the 5 car, like I got out of that and we were competitive, but we weren't stand out great. And so there's always been a little bit of a question in the back of your head of like, man, am I just kind of falling apart? And then we went out and did that. And it's like immediately confidence was back, go attack, like try to, chase wins type attitude, a completely different position than I had been in for really the last year and a half.
It carried over into the Charlton 21, and the success continued. Came so close to a win, fell short against David Gravel. The Charlton 21, again, all in California. This is all in the California swing or on the West Coast. What works so well for you out there? Because, yes, the car has to be good, but clearly you're comfortable out there in California, and you had a previous success out there racing for years. What worked? I mean, what just snapped? I mean, you talked about unloading fast and whatnot, but almost every single night you were competitive. It didn't matter if it was in the 21 or the W, whether it was the Outlaws or High Limit that came, you seemed comfortable.
I mean, I like California tracks. I've always liked California tracks, but I think if we would have been back in the Midwest with those cars, I think we still would have done it. Like, I don't think there's anything tied to California specifically. I think it was more of just being comfortable right out of the gate, a car that had grip, a lot of grip, and balance. Like, they were both different. Like, the W car was, I've talked to Paul and Drew both about this, of like, the W car is very stable. You know exactly what it's going to do. Like, it's the balance of it is very, very secure, and like, it just doesn't jump out and surprise you at any point. But you have to plug into grip. Like, you have to be engaged in the cushion. You got to hit the bottom. Like, there were mistakes I made where, I'd missed just my marks a little bit, and like, it showed. The 21 car was similar, but a little more volatile, but overall more mechanical grip. Like, it was so plugged into the racetrack. Really, the first night we kind of almost had to like backpedal. Like, we had to get the thing out of the track a little bit just because it made so much grip. So 2 different race cars, but ultimately like cars that had speed. And kind of what you said, like, what is it about California? Well, we went and backed it up in Charlotte in the 17. Like, it's more of just finding a car that makes grip, has stability, and like a driver can immediately trust it and know exactly what it's going to do, and give that car what it needs to make speed. So I don't know if there's anything about California. I mean, I really like California. I love racing in California, but I think we could have done that same type of thing at a lot of other places outside of California.
What's it like on those tracks like Tulare? You're just bouncing off the cushion. I mean, it looks like a really rough ride. I mean, explain though. Are you a bull ring guy?
Probably more so.
You sure seem like it. Give us an example. I mean, like Tulare, just bouncing off the cushion. I mean, you're just throwing it at it, hoping it sticks. I think back to the final lap with gravel and then your other battle. I mean, just talk about that type of racing where it's like, it's going to stick, but man, you just got to send it.
Yeah. It's, I mean, I like Tulare a lot. It's a top 5, probably if not top 3. So that helps. I think any driver that, like, oh, we're going to my favorite track, like they're gonna be a little bit faster, they're gonna have a little bit more edge than the next guy maybe, but Tulare is extremely physical. Like it's one of the most physical racetracks. Peevely's another one. You hear guys talk about it. You notice in interviews after a heat race at Peevely, like guys are a little more winded than most places. Tulare is one of those places where it's very, very physical, very technical. The track, by the end of the night, has some unique characteristic that if you're able to figure out how to get through that pocket or that spot better than everyone else, like you're going to show speed and climb through the field. It's one of those tracks that I always feel like when I'm out there, I feel like I'm like wrangling the car more. Like you're really forcing it to do things and like kind of like you force it in the corner and you slam it in and like, you have to be there, but like it doesn't, there's a lot of places outside of Tulare that if you did that, you're slow. Like you can't run it that hard. Where Tulare is a place like you have to attack. But that's why you see a lot of these California guys come out on the road and do pretty well in those kind of cowboy up racetracks because they're used to just being full aggressive, like trying to wrangle the car through the corner rather than your standard like big track finesse PA guys kind of in a sense. There's a lot of Pennsylvania tracks that you have to backpedal. Like you will go faster if you just slow your corners down. Williams Grove is one of those. Like first couple times I went to Williams Grove, I overdrove the corners and we were always slow. Once you backpedal and actually lift and get the thing settled into the corner, like you're fast. California is not one of those places. California just ring the shit out of the thing and like make speed.
I'm taking your question, Blake. I'm sorry. So how's that compare to Bristol?
Dang it.
Bristol.
Tell us about Bristol. I
felt like this leads right into it.
You are one of the last ever people to win at Bristol. You're one of the few only people to win at Bristol. I mean, that's got to be the coolest thing in the world.
Yeah, it's definitely cool to look back on. A win that I will never forget. I'll always rank up there no matter what races I may win in the future. It was a place that I feel like we all had a pretty good understanding of the situation, the speed, the risk, in comparison to a lot of other places. So we all raced, I think, a little bit different up until kind of the very end, the last couple of laps with me and Larson. But Bristol was a place, I'm trying to think back on it, like you ran around wide open. Like it was a place you're attacking and running as hard as you can, but then you have to have the finesse. Like any little twitch, catches your board, right? If you open your entry just a little bit, like it yanks because the air is so violent. And the dirty air was pretty nasty. So it was like, it was a place you had to run really, really hard, but also it's kind of felt like pavement racing a little bit. Like you got to get in, hit your marks, keep your wheels nice and happy. Don't get your feet too chaotic. Like it was cool to look back on. I'm kind of glad that we don't have to go back there. I don't think it's a place I'd want to race every year. It was a place that when we obviously won and left, it was like a massive sigh of relief that, okay, we all got out unscathed, like no one got hurt, and we won.
You still have the dagger? Do you got the dagger?
It's in the 5 shop. When I packed up my stuff, I tried to convince Barry to. So he's got it at his place in Pennsylvania. I will get it eventually someday. We kind of have an agreement on that. So I know where it's at. I should put a tracking device on it.
We got to get another one of those made. What are we doing?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I felt like that was just the perfect time to ask
It was a good time.
about Bristol.
Bristol's just different than everything.
Yeah, that was crazy. Wish more people could have been able to be there. That was kind of the end of COVID, right? So I think the crowd was a little bit, probably not as good as it could have been. It kind of sucks. But anyway, getting back to this year. So you had a very successful California swing. When did the 17 ride come together? And kind of what were your thoughts when that discussion started before an agreement was reached?
The 17 conversation started happening, I think late. I'd have to go back and look. I think late September, early October. It kind of took time. It wasn't just a phone call. Yep. Okay, let's go race Charlotte. Like, it took a little bit of building, a little bit of back and forth on that. So yeah, I mean, once I had been out and ran some of the high limit stuff and outlaw swing in California, the conversation started flowing a little bit. Conversations with Ricky and Richard, and then ultimately Kyle, right? Kyle Pruitt. Like, that was a big part of the discussion of, a new mechanic, kind of a rebuilding phase, and what does all this look like, and what do you expect from us, myself and Kyle both. So that all came together really well. It took a couple of weeks, and then quickly in that conversation, in that back and forth, was Charlotte was high on the priority. Like, we need to get laps with Kyle, get me laps with Kyle. Sheldon obviously needed to finish his season for points and what his contractual commitments and all that stuff. So we were able to do it. It was a little bit of a task running two cars at Charlotte, but ultimately was a success. Really glad we were able to do it. I think it gives Kyle and I a little bit of a leg up going into the off season and more so into Volusia. So came together well. Just super, super excited about the opportunity, especially after running Charlotte. Like, we were fast, and like Kyle, working with him was awesome. Richard, I've known Richard for a while. They were actually, they sponsored the Clausen Marshall, or the Clausen driven driver development team. They were like a team sponsor for that. And then I was there racing, and so I've known the Marshall, Richard and Jennifer, for a long time. So to get to work with them, Ricky, I was teammates with him back in the midget days, like 2014, 2015 time period. So kind of feels cool to get together and now, go race.
And what's it like with NOS? Like, arguably probably nobody bigger in sprint car racing right now, as far as supporting it, joining that family of drivers, and everything that NOS is about, pushing sprint car racing. That seems pretty sweet too.
Yeah, no, I'm super, super thankful to be part of the NOS family. Lauren has been an awesome asset to sprint car racing. Obviously, like, her impact is, for my generation, or for what I've ever been part of, is greater than the next guy times 3. Like, she just has done such an awesome job with the brand and in the outreach, and now getting to wear the NOS colors and be one of her drivers feels really special. I've always kind of had it in the back of my head, like, man, I really want to be a NOS driver, because it just seems like an elite group, and really, really just excited about being able to wear the NOS colors, be a NOS driver with a prominent World of Outlaws team that has a lot of history, a lot of success, and they are massively driven. Like, they are not here to participate. Like, we are there to chase wins and build a championship contending team. So that feels good. Like, it's motivating, and I feel like it's possible. It's not one that, every interview you ever do going into the next season is like, oh, we're going to go chase wins and try to build a championship team. No, like, this feels legit. Like, I feel like we have what it takes. I don't expect it to happen overnight, but I think the upside potential is there. The materials that we have, the knowledge, and the support we have with all of our sponsors, I think it's definitely possible. And that's what we're building towards.
I can't wait to see in the commercials. Hopefully they keep doing that. The commercials with all the NOS drivers. Did you want the season to end? I mean, obviously, you rattle off 13th, 5th, and 4th at World Finals, and you're just cruising. I mean, things are really going well, and then, all right, season's over. See you at Volusia. I mean, is this the most painful offseason in your career?
If you had asked me if I wanted the season to end back in July, August, I'd be like, hell yeah, get me out of here. But then, once we started jumping around a little bit with some other cars, and then obviously when we ran Charlotte, like, it's a breath of fresh air. Yeah. And I would be perfectly fine with going to Volusia
to December.
Yeah. I mean, the off season is always good. Like we kind of need it, obviously, because we're kind of rebuilding a little bit, and we need that time and get our engines in line and all that stuff. So yes, need the off season, but I would have been perfectly fine with just backing it up. Like run Charlotte, go home for a week, go straight to Volusia, start it up. So, but the off season will be good. Like running BAPS too was helpful. Like it got us on a different place than a half mile and learned a lot there. So yeah, definitely has me eager to just get started.
Go ahead, Josh.
I was just going to say the last few guys that we've talked to kind of asked the same question. I know that the answer changed a little bit this year with circumstances, but are you a guy that usually does like to have a break at the end of the year and like exhale just a bit and enjoy your off season, or do you just want to keep, go?
I do like the break. Like we do a lot of family stuff. Obviously it's the holidays and my wife's from Kansas. So we like Thanksgiving this past week, we were in Kansas hanging out with her family, much needed time. She's not able to get home. I'm not able to get there back to Kansas as much as she deserves or they deserve. But so it's good to be able to take time with family, but I do wish it'll never happen, but I do wish somehow we were able to race like just a couple times a month, like every other week or something. Like, so you do get the time off with, to kind of R&R and like recharge. But just stay a little fresher and like, it's a long time to sit. Volusia does come quick, but like once you get to Volusia, it's like, okay, I got to get back up to speed. I got to get back in race shape. And like, you can go to the gym. Like I work out and do all my fitness stuff and try to eat right and stay healthy. But like, there's nothing like race shape, like racing to get yourself into race shape. So I would like to be able to race some through the winter. Australia obviously has always been an option that I just haven't been able to really put together the way I want. I run Chili Bowl. That's always been fun. But in terms of sprint car shape and like, working on your sprint car game, your driving game, like that's obviously tough to do through the winter. But I think everyone enjoys the time off, but I wouldn't mind being able to maybe shorten up the off season or race somehow throughout just a little bit here and there.
Racers want to race, man. That's the thing that we've been hearing.
You're back with the Outlaws. Obviously, Rookie of the Year with the Outlaws just a couple of years ago. Their schedule's pretty much all but released. Go to Houston a couple more times. Go to Knoxville a couple more times. How's that? Is that a welcome change to you to be able to come back here a couple more times to our neck of the woods? Obviously, they've gone to PA plenty of times. I know a lot of people have talked about not really going out west. That's one thing that the Outlaws just haven't been able to do or aren't doing this year. But just kind of thoughts on being an Outlaw here in 2026 and the schedule that you guys will face. We're glad to see you back at Knoxville. I will say that a couple more times.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to be back on the Outlaw Tour. It's I think as a kid, like the kid in me loves, like that's all you want to do, like race the Outlaws. And the kid in me, when I was running High Limit, obviously still watches the Outlaws, like the famous Johnny Gibson voice, like the 4 wide, all that stuff. Like it kind of, as a fan, like that's what has the history. Now High Limit's doing a lot of great, exciting things, but it feels like, going back to the Outlaw Tour is fitting, I would say. Like I want to go pad stats on the Outlaw list. Just, I don't know. I'm excited to get back with that group. I think that group of drivers are, really, really elite. Those are kind of the names. Like High Limit is building their group of guys and their names to ultimately kind of do that head-to-head battle that fans like to see. But I think it fits, right? Like the Stenhouse Marshall team, the 17, NOS being the name, the title sponsor on the series. Like, I think it just fits. And I like their schedule. I think going to Knoxville a little bit more is something I like. I love running Knoxville. It's the most challenging here. Like, hell yeah, man.
Yeah.
It's
I was
definitely.
so happy for you when he made the Nationals a couple years ago. I'm like, maybe if he didn't like this track before, I'm like, maybe he likes the track a little bit.
Yeah. Knoxville's a place. I think it's one of the most challenging, which therefore is the most rewarding when you're able to kind of conquer it or to run well there. So excited to get as much laps at Knoxville as possible. And there's some tracks that we missed running this year or this past year, 2025, being a high limit guy, that I'll be excited to get back on that outlaw tour and really kind of make a home there.
So as someone that has raced in both high limit and the outlaws, is there much of a difference, when you're living that, like from a day-to-day or, race format? I know there's some slight differences in the way things go, but do you notice much of a difference, a night with high limit versus a night with the outlaws?
That's a good question. I would probably everyone kind of maybe would have a different opinion. High limit, definitely they are built around the concept of like making every night a big event, and like they want to build that business model of like put all of your eggs on that weekend into that event. Like when we were at Vegas, that's always feels that way. Like Texas Motor Speedway, aligning with the NASCAR schedule, always kind of presented it to feel a little bit bigger than what it was. But then at the same time, like you watch outlaw streams and go to the outlaw races, and it's like they're sold out every night too. So when you're on the racetrack, that feels the same. Like the events themselves are a little bit different on how they're ran through, but a lot of that's just because it's different personnel. Like High Limit has their group of guys and the way they go about their logistics and the way you navigate through a night versus the Outlaws. The Outlaws feels very, very professional, and High Limit does as well. But I would say High Limit had a little bit more of a family feel, and I don't know if that's because you're on the road more with the midweek stuff. Like you spend a lot more time on the road. Like you're not going home during the weeks. Like you're just out there running the weekend and then midweek and then weekend, midweek. Like it just kind of builds into you spend a lot of time around those people, which is nice. But I also like being able to be able to kind of get home for a couple of days and disconnect and get recharged. I think that's the outlaw schedule, the outlaw model, I think fits me maybe a little bit more, because I do think it's healthy to like disconnect, get away from work, and then when you show back up, like you're fully charged.
It's a good point, because like you just said, I mean, it is work for you guys, and I think it's easy for people to look past that. To your point as well, if you're traveling all the time, like leaving work at work and trying to have somewhat of a personal life, I'm sure is tough. So, yeah, it's interesting perspective there.
I want to go back to 2017, Spencer. You won your first All-Star Circuit of Champions feature at Attica. Hell of a place to win a feature race. I tell you what, hell of a place to win your first one. Kevin Swindell was your car owner in the Swindell Speed Lab 39. You've won for a lot of different guys. I just want to hear about that experience, not just the track, but for Kevin and just that whole experience. And how old were you back in 2017?
I would have been 18, 19.
That's a pretty young kid doing that. Just talk about that night.
Oh, that night was crazy. Obviously, like I was still so green in the sprint car stuff. Like I ran a little bit in Parker Price Miller's backup car in 2016. Like I ran just a few races, and Kevin was working for Parker at that time. That's how I met him, got aligned with him in 2017. So like 2017 was kind of let's just go try to race and see what happens. And Kevin was obviously kind of somewhat new to having his own car, and like he'd always worked on his own stuff and he knew how to set a car up, but like to actually go have a trailer, get a mule, load the thing up and go run races we were both kind of learning together. And so that night specifically was one where we just were fast. Like we just unloaded fast. Dash, I'm pretty sure, yeah, we made the dash. I started, I think, seventh, I believe, if I remember right. So we had to pass some cars, but like right away, I was fast. Like I knew the thing was good. And it's like the whole time I'm like, just don't screw this up. Just don't screw this up. Like we're so good. Like my car is glued into the racetrack. And yeah, I mean, like I remember leading the last handful, decent amount of laps, 10 or so laps maybe at the end, and just like count them down, and like full butterflies in the stomach, like shaky, overthinking a lot of things. But my car was so good that it just didn't even matter. And I remember not knowing where to go. I think I parked on the front stretch, didn't even go to the scales because I'm a USAC guy at that point. And I was like, and they're yelling at me like, you need to go to the scales. I'm like, oh, okay, sorry. So I go to the scales. Kevin meets me over there, and like he's amped. He's like doing donuts in the 4-wheeler, like spinning around the car and stuff. Like we were hooting and hollering. Yeah, celebrated, super happy. And then like we got back to the pit, and I think our crew guys at the time started like car wash prep, and Kevin's like, don't touch anything. Like we got to measure this thing. Like we got to know where we were. Like he's over there right for the future, making last minute, ride height changes and putting turns in the thing, and like don't touch it. Like it was just one of those nights where stars aligned.
Yeah,
everything went the way that needed to on the track, and our car was just that good. So I didn't know what the hell I was doing in a sprint car at that point. Like I could qualify like a maniac. Like we could qualify so well. But race wise, I just really didn't do a good job. Yeah. I think looking back on it, was able to give Kevin what he needed in terms of feedback to know what to do with the race car. He did a great job at giving me, doing everything he could to give us success. Fortunately, that night we had some more nights there that season that kind of same thing kind of happened, and stars aligned, and we were pretty good. But yeah, looking back, like that's a missed opportunity. I wish I could go back and run those again with the knowledge and the feel that I have now, because I think we could have probably gone out and won a decent amount of races. But that'll definitely be a special one that I'll never forget, and kind of set the stage of like, okay, you just won a national or kind of a national race, like a local race, or not a local race, but not a national race with the All-Stars. It's like that's the standard. Like we got to go win races now, and obviously spent a lot of time, a lot of years after that trying to continue that.
Was that your first wing win?
Yeah,
that's what I thought, and that was their first win as a team also. And Kevin is a very, very interesting story, I guess, with his racing career. Seeing where that could have went, and also just with him as a car owner. Like he had success with you. I mean, Bell and Sanders and a number of different guys. I think with his health and everything, if he was able to go on a full tour, it would be interesting to see what those guys could put together. Because, I mean, you performed, and so did many other guys. That would be very interesting to me if that could ever happen.
Yeah, he carried me through those couple of years. I think like I had moments of glory, but a lot of it, yeah, his car was good, and like obviously you saw a lot of those other guys jump in and be fast and contend on the national level. Kevin's just a really smart guy. Like he's just switched on. Like he gets it. He knows what a car needs. He was obviously extremely talented and successful himself, but even to take on a new role of a mechanic and be able to just like right out of the gate know what's up and like be good was pretty impressive. And I think you're right. I think if you could get him on the road, he with some time and some traveling, I think to a lot of those places he could easily be a contender.
What do you think of the current state of sprint car racing right now, Spencer? We got another regional series. We got 2 national series, new All-Stars, Power I, IRA. It's everywhere. It's all across the country. What do you think of sprint car racing right now? Because it feels like we're in the middle of a resurgence, if you will.
Yeah, I think it's good. I think to be able to give teams options, right? Like you always have the local groups that run in their neck of the woods, but if they want to travel a little bit, but not on a national level, like obviously those feeder series are really good for the teams that don't want to spend a fortune to go run coast to coast. And for someone like myself, from 2016 to 2018, like needed to be able to go kind of hide out and just get laps. And you see a lot of good guys come out of those that have been able to kind of develop their craft somewhat in the shadows, and then are able to kind of make a surge onto the scene. So I think it's good to have options. I think, obviously the big topic is having two national series, competing series. Like, is that a good thing or a bad thing? I think it's a good thing. I don't think it's bad at all. I think competition in the market is good for the consumer. I think we are the consumers, fans and drivers and teams. Like, I think it kind of pushes the envelope to who can do the next best thing. How do we make sure we are continuing to innovate and make our product better? Like, I think all that is so good for the sport. And I think if it's handled properly, like, I think there's a right way to go about it and there's a wrong way. Up to this point, I think it's been handled pretty well. So I think as long as everyone shares, the same interest of like, what is best for sprint car racing in the industry, the fans, like how do we make sure that we put out a great product? It's good. I think if you all of a sudden your focus shifts onto like trying to just burn the other guy down and like take over and be the king, like that's not good. I think it's not a bad thing to have what we have right now, as long as we just handle it well.
Well, I was going to ask you about the whole high limit versus outlaw thing, but I think you pretty much summed that up. I completely echo and agree with everything you said there. Building things up instead of tearing them down is good, and no monopolies, I think, is great for everybody. So completely agree with you there. We'll put you on the spot a little bit. With the state of sprint car racing, what's something that you think could be changed or should be changed to either make the product better, safer, what have you?
I mean, it's like there's some of these aren't my own opinions, but I can agree with them. Like, some of them are my opinions too, though. I think there's a couple of different topics. Like, tires is one of the big topics. Like, what we raced on now is not what I started on in 2017. I know it's for sure not what guys raced on before my time in the sport. That has altered the cars a lot. I think that your cars, like as a mechanic, as a crew chief, as a driver, like you are doing so much to your car mechanically with all your fine tunings and adjustments and everything that you need to do to put out a great product on the racetrack. And then you put tires on it that are not super consistent. And like a right rear can have 30 pounds less of, weight or like compression. Like, you would have to make a whole turn and a half on some of these tires to like make your car be consistent every time you go on the racetrack. That variable that you get with these tires, I think obviously makes it a challenge, but also they don't have a ton of grip right now. And that I think it makes the racing a little more like slide or die style racing, where guys are just like, you send it across the racetrack and you're not gripped up until you get to the cushion and you get to something. And it changes the style a little bit. I think wings like are dirty air, right? Like, what can we do to make the racing closer? I think get tires a little more consistent, a little more gripped up, so you're not sliding so much. You're not as reliant upon moisture in the racetrack. You can kind of clean off your own space and run in clean air. I think that's one thing. I think wings too, like with the air, the dirty air, that's so many of these places. Like, there's nothing you're going to do. Like, you can be 2/10 better than the guy in front of you, but if the track is not suitable, you're not going to pass him. Like, you're not going to charge up on him, build a run. The big places, especially little places, you can kind of crutch it and make it work. But those are two big things, tires and wings. I think I'm not knowledgeable enough to know what we need to do to the wings. The displacement, right? Like the pockets that we build with our wings now, I think is maybe more violent and bigger than what they used to be. Like dish wings obviously gets I think it gets the air up higher, right? Like it doesn't affect the guy right behind you as much. I might sound silly to some people on how I say that. I'm sure there's gonna be crew chiefs like, "Oh, this stupid
What's this
driver
guy
doesn't know what
talking
he's
about?"
talking about." But like, I think there's something to be said there, right? Like the wake that we put off affects the car so much. Is there a way to make that not as dramatic? And I think tires that would have more grip, so you're not so aero dependent, and wings that maybe got the air not affecting the guys directly behind you as much with dish or whatever it is, would help.
Yeah.
It's interesting too, because you hear some of that about, or talked about in the late model circles also. And part of it is probably something that's always been there, right? Obviously, because we have wings and they have spoilers and stuff, but technology advancing and being able to measure that, better to see what these micro changes, engineers getting involved with modifying things on the cars. So yeah, it's interesting because with some of the rule changes that we've seen, there's been pushback from some prominent drivers talking about the costs that are involved. And I think that's a delicate line, and not having, like kind of what we were just talking about, not having a monopoly kind of in charge of everything when you have multiple series, multiple tracks that work on things, because it trickles down to the small teams and the local guys that it's tough to make changes to your car if it's going to cost, thousands, tens of thousands of dollars. Keeping all of those people in mind is very important, and I think goes back to what you were saying, where making sure that everything is constructive and not destructive and pushing people out of the sport.
Right. Yeah, and it'll not happen, what I'm about to say, because just the way the world is, and but like the financial side of things, like how expensive everything is now is just ridiculous. And like there will always be plenty of capital in sprint car racing. Like the market obviously ups and flows, and you see them kind of come and go, but like there will always be the team or someone that will outspend the next guy. So it'll never go away. And I don't believe in like the concept of like, oh, we need like sealed crate motors and that's what we need to race. Like, I don't think that's like that's part of the craft, is like perfecting your motors and your injections and your fueling and like all this stuff. Like that's what can separate you from other teams. And so if you give everyone just the same motor that's sealed up and we're supposed to all have the same thing, like I don't believe that's the right answer. But somehow a way to control the cost, or just to just stop it from just getting more and more and more. Like eventually these motors are going to be, there are already, I've heard stories of 6-figure motors, and like, that's just stupid. Like, what are we doing? Like, that's just, it's so unnecessary. Like, it's just, it could be, reasonably, if not affordable for your normal guy, but like for some of these local groups, like it's just getting to where you can't even compete if you're not spending, X number of dollars. And it's just, I wish there was a way to control that. I don't know if there is, but that's definitely one thing that is just sad to see. Some of these teams struggle just because they don't have the funding.
Right. And like it's our co-host that couldn't make it here, Cade. He races weekly at Knoxville in a 360, and like he feels that. And I was thinking of back to him when you're talking about the tires. Like I can't tell you how many times I've heard from him, we're expecting this size tire. We go and measure it, and it's, 2 inches different. Like that is got to be frustrating. Yeah.
The sizing up one, obviously that's annoying, but it's, with some more swaps, like you can dismount and mount up some more tires and get the number you want. But when their load rating is completely all over the map, like that's when all of a sudden your car could be really, really good the whole first half of the night. You strap on 2 new rear tires and your balance is just completely going out the window. That's
not getting what you think you're getting, and
right.
Your setup's completely thrown off. Not great.
Well, Spencer, we don't want to take up much more of your time. We'll obviously see you in Volusia. Chili Bowl? Racing Chili Bowl?
Yep.
Tulsa Shootout or just Chili Bowl?
Just Chili Bowl. I'll be back with RMS, the step group, running again this year. I think it's my 5th or 6th year with them. So looking forward to that.
It's going to be fun to watch. Going to be fun to watch you here in 2026 with Stenhouse Marshall Racing. We appreciate your time, man. We really appreciate it. We hope to see you in Knoxville Victory Lane next year, along with Victory Lane all across the country. Yeah, we really appreciate it, man. I appreciate the NOS branding. You're on top of it. Again, I cannot wait to see you in the commercials. Hopefully they still keep doing their competition series. But yeah, Josh can say the same. We just really appreciate you coming on and chatting with us today.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you guys.
great convo. Appreciate the time.
Thank you.
Thanks, Spencer. Really appreciate Spencer Bayston for joining us on the show. What a guy. What a guy.
That was fun.
I had the opportunity to interview him, the pleasure to interview him after he made his first Knoxville Nationals a couple years ago on Dirt Vision, and the emotions running through that guy. Like between him and Davey Heskin when they made it, and I got to interview those two, it was like, this is awesome. Such a good guy, really good insight. His confidence is through the roof, and I can't wait to see what he does in 2026.
Yeah, he's always been very gracious with his time, and it's great conversation. Like, we touched on a lot of good stuff there, and I'm excited for people to hear it. And I agree with you. The confidence is there. You could see it immediately when he got in the W in the 21, and that car is really good. Won the Natty Open with Sheldon, won many World of Outlaw races in their tenure, and confidence is huge. We've heard it from numerous guys that we've talked to, including your Nationals champion. So a confident Spencer Bayston going into 2026 with a rejuvenated number 17 team, I think is going to be a lot of fun to watch down at Volusia.
Absolutely. Well, no racing on this week for sprint cars, but I'm sure there is Australian sprint car racing on. You can all check that out. I'm pretty sure Justin Fiedler will have that on his What's On Tonight usually. And then if you want to watch some fenders, I know I'll be watching the fenders. The Gateway Dirt Nationals are on this week down in St. Louis in the Dome. I'm going to watch it. I love it. I think it's awesome.
Entertainment for sure.
Yeah, entertainment for sure. Yeah, if you want to watch these big cars go around a very tiny racetrack, it's a lot of fun to watch. Next week, we'll have Toby Belbowen on the show from Sprint Car Hub. Thick Australian accent. I can't wait. Toby's a good guy. He was obviously a judge here this past season for the Queen competition. I can't wait to ask him about that. And then he was on the road with Rico Abreu, did such great video content for Rico, and obviously building the Sprint Car Hub brand and channel. And he'll talk about the Aussie Sprint Car season as well. You can catch that next week on Monday at 7 o'clock, and it should be live. No, it'll be recorded before.
No, should be live.
It should be live. It'll be like 10 o'clock in the morning when he records, but we'll hope
Maybe. I think he's still stateside.
Oh, is he still stateside?
Yeah, he was just over doing, I think he did a video with the people over at CSI Shocks. So
That's the thing with watching all these Australian races. I now know what time it is in Australia.
That's right.
About like 3 hours ahead of us in the Central Time Zone, plus the 12 hours, so about 15 hours ahead.
I'm really looking forward to this one. It's going to be a very good conversation. That dude, if anybody that was in Knoxville and you saw him during the Nationals, holy cow, was he everywhere with Rico, and the season that Rico had, him being able to cover it and put together all the content that was put out. It was going to be fun to talk to, let alone, his own personal story,
right,
and building up Sprint Car Hub. I'm really looking forward to that.
Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all the podcast platforms. Don't forget to follow Team Netcode on all of our social media platforms. Josh is at Josh_Gerlach on Twitter. I am Blake_Walker8 on Twitter/X. And that will do it for us tonight. We appreciate everyone for watching. We'll see everyone next week. Thanks for watching another episode of Sprint Car Nights.